All right. You guys, I'm so glad to chat about summer, even though it does not feel like summer today at all. I'm like very, very ready for wearing my hat and sunglasses all the time and having to put on sunscreen, but we're not quite there yet.
Me too. It's coming.
I sure hope so. They say July 5th. So I have my fingers crossed for July 5th. That's when summer will actually happen here. But the theme of tonight is to share some tips and strategies around just embracing healthy habits during the summer. To me, summer is the best time of year. Like it's the most fun. There's all kinds of fun things, but it's also very busy. And so if I'm not intentional with my habits and my strategies, then sometimes you just get busy and you're like, oh gosh, I'm out all day and forgot my snacks, or I don't have enough snacks with me, or I didn't fill my water bottle before I left and now I'm feeling dehydrated and all these things. And there are things that you can really set yourself up for success if you think about it, ahead of time and really have a plan. So that's what we're going to share tonight, is just the theme related to summer, but also just, it can be any time of year, really, setting yourself up for success for anything out of the ordinary, let's say. So whether it's travel or going to restaurants, going out, taking a meal to a picnic or a potluck, and just being prepared ahead of time so that you're not stuck feeling like, oh crap, I want to be healthy, but I didn't plan for it. Okay, so Trisha, anything you want to say before we just jump right in?
No, let's just get into it.
All right. So Trisha and I are both healthy living enthusiasts, and we're just really excited to help share some of the things that we do personally and some of the things we help our clients do to help them really be successful in the realm of healthy living. Okay. So our first kind of topic or category is going to be around travel. So I thought I would share, I went ahead and packed as if I was going on a little trip. I went ahead and packed my snacks that I might take if I were going on a road trip or an airplane trip. So I thought I would just kind of unpack that for you guys so that you can see how simple and delicious healthy can be. And you can take it all with you in like a nice little pouch. And I will say my family makes fun of me all the time, right? But they probably have, other people travel with food and snacks, but it might just look a little different, like goldfish crackers or something like that, pretzels. These are going to be a little bit more nutrient dense, but still able to travel. Now, old me, long time ago, I did one time pack dumbbells in my suitcase, and my husband has never let me live it down. They don't do that anymore. So the first thing is, I love using the little reusable bag. So instead of like a Ziploc bag that's bad for the environment, these are ones that you can just throw in the dishwasher. And these are great for makeup, but also for like my little fizz packs. So I don't ever go without my morning cocktail, which I do fizz, mind health, and gut health. And these are by Arbonne. If you're not familiar with Arbonne, it's a healthy living company online, and it's all vegan and pure and safe, and really great options or alternatives for things that might not be as healthy. So every morning I do Energy Fizz, which is B vitamins and chromium and ginseng and guarana, and it tastes amazing. I do gut health, which is prebiotics, probiotics, and a digestive enzyme. And then I also throw in there a mind health, and that is CoQ10 and other vitamins to help promote brain function, memory, focus. And so even while I'm traveling, this is how I start my day. So I know I'm starting out my day with a good 32 ounces of water and drinking my vitamins instead of taking a handful of pills. So that is one thing that I do, is I just take my little stick packs with me. Okay, next, I make my protein pancakes. I always travel with these. I know it sounds silly. Sometimes if it's a long flight, I'll even freeze them so that by the time I get there, they have thawed out. It's also a great way to keep the rest of my food that needs to be chilled, because
that's a good idea.
So for example, I also usually take hummus and some veggies, so that needs to stay cold. And then I will also often take hard-boiled eggs, ones that Costco did for me. So if I have this, that's like pretty substantial meal that's going to keep me going for a while, pretty well balanced protein, fat, and carbs. And then of course, I will also bring a little packet of nuts with me and maybe an apple. So that's a great plain snack. These are cashews. I love that Trader Joe's puts them in little baggies for me so that I don't have a giant thing of nuts, because I think I was a squirrel in a previous life and could eat the whole thing. And then I also always travel with the individual packs of the Arbonne protein. I used to travel before, many years ago, Arbonne did not make them individually packed, and I would travel with little baggies of white powder, and I would always get stopped at security like, ma'am, you have drugs. So I'll come back to those. I'm gonna let Trisha share what she travels with, and then we'll come back to my protein.
Yeah, so those are some great ideas, Joan. I love the freezing of the pancakes to use it as an ice pack, since they're not otherwise allowed through security unless you have, I think unless you're breastfeeding. But I too like to use all the reusable Ziploc bags. So I have various sizes that I will fill with my snacks. I didn't fill a bag like Joan did. I was just gonna kind of walk or talk through it. But part of the reason I like the reusable also when traveling is so that once I'm at the destination, I have something to continue to use every day to carry my snacks, because I always have snacks with me. I like to have some quick bar options for both me and my family, and the RX bars are a good choice if you are into that. And then Arbonne also has some really yummy protein snack squares. They don't have any chocolate, so that's where I'm looking at the chocolate chip RX bar for my son who loves chocolate. But the Arbonne, they come in a really yummy iced lemon, a cinnamon, and a strawberry. So those are just prepackaged, easy to carry. I also will typically throw in some of the Fit Chews, which if you're not familiar this is the caramel flavor, which is my favorite. And it really just tastes like a yummy caramel. Have that with some water, and it can really hold you over and kind of get rid of the growling tummy.
Yeah.
Now, when I travel, I'm always a morning shake person, and my husband and I both are. And if we're going for at least a week, then I just throw in my checked bag, a full bag of the protein, because I know that that'll be enough for us to each have breakfast every morning. And then I have enough if the boys want a shake, or if we decide to do one for lunch as well. I also travel with the gut health and the fizz. And then I also will throw in a bag of the fiber, because I include that in my shakes to just help me feel full longer. And on the traveling, I just wanted to mention real quick with kids, especially if you have young kids, which mine aren't super young anymore, but I think it's so important to get them involved in packing their own snacks, and rather than like lecturing them about healthy foods, just put out the options and express how pretty all the different colors are and how yummy the flavors of all the different foods are. And you can really cover the whole rainbow with your snacks and offer carrots, snap peas, sliced bell pepper. You can do fruits, sliced apples, sliced melon, berries, and like Joan said, nuts, or rice cakes with the nut butters. So lots of different options. You could also take an avocado that you've just pre-sliced in half and then put it back together in one of the Ziplocs and bring a spoon, and you could eat that just plain or smear it on a rice cake. So lots of options, but really involving the kids, I think, is important. And then, when they see you packing your snack box, and a snack box is another option if you don't want your items to get smashed. Lots of different styles out there, but
Love it.
yeah.
All right, so I'm going to move on to being in a hotel room or maybe somewhere that you're not used to being. And I do have a great option or great suggestion for making a full breakfast. So this would be a full meal in your hotel room that doesn't have a kitchen. It doesn't even have to have a little mini refrigerator. Most do. But what I will often do, so if I'm going on like a fun vacation, we're probably going out to brunch or something, but a lot of times that is later and I need to eat when I wake up. Like I get the hangries if I don't. So I just love having an option that's with me that I don't have to bother anybody else or make a big deal. Like I have to eat, like I just make it and then it's no big deal. But what I'll do is travel with dry oats in a little baggie. And then when I get there, get a little, they usually have the hotel, either coffee cups or the little styrofoam cups. And I will pour the oats in there in the coffee cup, and then I'll run hot water through the coffee maker, and that will actually cook the oats. And then in another little cup, I'll take usually my vanilla, but it's good with other flavors as well. And I will make a pudding out of the 2 scoops of protein that are in here. And that will make my protein pudding, which I will then top on top of my cooked oatmeal. And then I would take whatever little nuts that I might have and put that on top. So I have my protein, my fat, and my carb in a very filling breakfast that I can eat with just water and a coffee cup in a hotel room. So I've been doing that for a long time. And that's just a really great option. Doesn't take up much room to pack dry oats and protein powder and some nuts. And then you're really set up for success. My other thing that I always do right when we get to a place is I'll go buy at least a gallon. And if we're there for longer than a weekend, usually more than a gallon, and just have a big jug that I can pour from. I don't love to be stuck in the hotel room having just access to the water that comes out of the bathroom sink. So I do like to have a big jug. And then that way I can fill up my water bottle and fill up the family's water bottles as well, instead of having to buy the individual bottles that aren't as good for the environment.
That's
and
a really good idea.
yes. A lot of times when you're traveling, then you're also going out to eat at restaurants. And I really find, especially out here on the West Coast, it was a little different, but that was also 10 years ago when I lived in Florida, there weren't tons of options. Here, I find it to be very enjoyable and pretty easy to find great healthy options most of the time. And I like to say I like to eat vegan plus some animal protein. So what I love is like very colorful, plant forward things that are all from the earth and very natural. And then I do enjoy some animal protein as well. So that's what I love to do is look at the menu and just think, how could I make a colorful combination that tastes satisfying, that isn't full of tons of things, ingredients that I might not know where they came from or what they, how they got to be on my plate. But also I usually try to avoid gluten and dairy. Not that I'm allergic or anything, but once I know that if I kind of go down that slippery slope, I won't feel as well the next day. I usually feel a little more bloated, a little more inflamed. So if I kind of just steer clear of that, I'm steering clear of most things that might kind of be junky and not make me feel great. So I often go for a lean protein like a fish. And then I usually love to get veggies at a restaurant that are ones that I don't typically make for myself. Same with the seafood. So I love seafood. I love scallops especially, are like my favorite, but I don't cook them very well or just very often. I haven't practiced very much. So I love to go to a restaurant and order something like that is kind of a treat that I don't normally have on my own. And then if the sauce is a little questionable, I will often just ask for it on the side. That way I still get to taste it and experience what the chef meant for the meal to taste like, but maybe a lot of times the sauce is just overpowering or it's too much. So that's kind of a little tip there, but I don't necessarily think you have to stick to only salads to be healthy at a restaurant. And often when you do order a salad at a restaurant, it's actually not very healthy. So just being aware of like what they're putting on it, what's the dressing, how, are there tons of croutons and cheese and all kinds of other things that don't necessarily add nutritional value, but also might make you kind of feel crappy afterwards. Those are the things to kind of be aware of. Trisha, any notes about hotel or restaurant from your end?
Yeah. So one thing on the hotel, I mentioned that I carry the protein, and that is definitely the case when I know we're going to have a kitchen or a partial kitchen. But we've actually successfully done it really just last summer when I went to Napa for a wedding, and we were in a hotel that had just a small little like cube refrigerator. We always travel with the soft side cooler. It's my husband's carry-on, so he puts all of his stuff in there, and then we have a cooler when we arrive, so that because there's always ice at the hotel, so that we can have some chilled stuff if there's not a refrigerator or if we need more space. And then in Napa, we actually requested a blender, and they had one and provided it. So we were able to make our shakes every morning, and it was just the two of us. So it was perfect. I will remember to ask again, so that we can, continue with our shakes. And for restaurants, same thing. I always still steer clear of anything fried. I love how it tastes, but then I just regret. I feel awful afterwards. And I will, in the summer, I like to eat really fresh, cold salads. So I tend to gravitate towards that on the menu. But like you said, holding the cheese. I like a tossed salad, but I'll request that it be done very, very light, and then to bring dressing on the side in case they really went way too light, or just some olive oil and lemon wedges that then I can add if I feel like it needs something else. But adding a grilled, I find most restaurants, even if the salad shows that it comes with fried chicken, you can ask for grilled fish or grilled chicken, and they'll happily do that instead.
Yeah. Good ideas. One other thing I traveled with a friend recently, and she needed a microwave, and our hotel room did not have one, and they totally delivered her one. So I think it's like,
That's awesome.
yeah, you just don't know until you go and you ask. But if you had leftovers, I was thinking with your soft-sided cooler, that's a great idea for if you went out to dinner, you had leftovers, but you didn't have room. Sometimes those little hotel fridges are like this big,
Yeah.
you can fit even a leftovers thing in there. Then you would have a way to actually heat your dinner up. And then that's kind of economical too, because then instead of buying another lunch the next day, you could also just reheat.
Yep.
So I think one of the messages is just to be an advocate for yourself while you're traveling or out to eat, or even at a friend's house. Like, just speak up for what you need. Most people are pretty accommodating and want to help you have a good experience wherever you are.
For sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Quick question about the restaurants. Only because I get like really overwhelmed at the menus, and then I want to sidebar and not stay on track. Not like I'm on track, but do you think it's best to just, instead of like even me getting a menu, to just ask for like grilled fish or chicken and then the veggies that way? Like, is that a good, because I know you're saying carb, protein, fat, or like, I'm just trying to think of what I can order without having to really deal with the menu. Like either a side salad, or here's the next type of meal go to, and then I don't have to even deal with the menu. I can just ask for like, here's the two options, and then I know it's. Am I making sense?
Yeah, totally. So what I would recommend, first of all, is if you know the restaurant you're going to, just look it up ahead of time. And that way you don't have to be stressed out. I totally agree, especially when I'm out with friends. Like if I'm out with my husband, we see each other all the time, so I can spend as much time as I want looking at the menu. But if I'm with girlfriends that I haven't seen in forever and I just want to talk and I don't even want to take the time to look, I'm like, I don't even care. Just bring me something healthy. Like,
yeah,
that's a good option. But if you just look ahead of time, and then it's kind of exciting because you kind of get to look forward to what you are expecting to have. Or maybe even if you just pull a couple of options, and then when you get there, you can ask your server, like, what would you recommend, this or that? So I think, again, it just comes down to planning and thinking ahead of time. And then the only other thing I would say is, a side salad probably isn't going to fill you up. And I think most women tend to undereat actually instead of overeat, which is what we all feel like we should feel guilty for, but it's actually the opposite, in my opinion. And so just making sure that, like, if you were to order a salad with some protein on it, just making sure that you're getting enough to eat. So you shouldn't leave dinner being like, oh, I did so great, I'm still hungry. I spent $30, but I'm still hungry. Like, that's not really, and then I think the other thing with not looking at the menu, you might actually miss out on some really great options that the chef maybe is really good at preparing something that actually is really healthy. I would say it just kind of takes practice to get to the point where you're not stressed about it and you're like, ooh, they have eggplant. I don't ever eat eggplant, but I bet it's pretty yummy. If it's not, breaded and fried, like, I'm going to ask about that. You know what I mean?
I'm getting there. Yeah.
Trisha, would you say anything different?
Yeah, well, not too different. No, just that I almost always review a menu before going to a restaurant. And, I've been invited to restaurants for group events where there's not really anything on the menu that appeals to me. But I want to go for the socialization. And so I just eat before I go, and it's like, oh, I had a late lunch. I'm not that hungry, but I just really am here to visit and enjoy our time together.
Yeah.
And so,
good point. I mean, that's the other part about advocating for yourself, right? Like, you don't have to go. This is a little different if it's like your mother-in-law, and she's going to be really insulted if you sit down at the table and say, sorry, I'm not hungry, and she prepared this big meal. Like, that's a little different. But going out to a happy hour with coworkers, and they choose a place that has like wings and beer, and that's just not your thing. I have many times been like, I either have purse chicken. I haven't done that in many years, but I used to hear purse chicken. Sorry, guys. Or I'll just be like, this is not for me. Thank you. Thank you. I don't need to make a big deal of it, right? Like, I might just have a bite or whatever to make it to be like, oh, she's the weird one not eating, but then I'll go home and have dinner or whatever. But like, just being an advocate for yourself, I think is really, really important, because the truth is, like, nobody else gets to decide what goes in your mouth, that you are the only person that gets to decide that. And that's a pretty powerful feeling, I think. So just embracing that and being like, okay, I am the one. Just because I'm at this kid's birthday party with pizza, doesn't mean that's what I have to have for dinner. I think that's a good example too, because I remember in that age, we were going to birthday parties like every weekend. I don't really like pizza. Like, that just wouldn't be my top, unless Dave's making it from scratch. Then I will have pizza, right? But if it's just like, Pizza Hut or whatever, like, that's not what I want. And I probably won't want the salad with like ranch and croutons and stuff. So I'll either eat before I go or just come home and eat when I get home. I think those are important things too. But if you're at a restaurant, they have delicious food. They probably have some good healthy options. Either just ask, what would you recommend that's healthy, maybe gluten-free, dairy-free, that you might want, or just take a look ahead of time. And you can always send me the menu too. I'm happy to help.
yes.
Okay, I want to make sure that we cover everything, and we have limited time. So I'm just going to jump right in. So thinking about picnics and maybe some potluck ideas for summer. So one of the things that Trisha and I did last summer was a salad in a jar. And we did a event just like this on Zoom. So I can send that as like an extra after this. I was thinking if we had a YouTube channel, we could be like, link and show notes, but we don't have a YouTube channel. But anyway, a salad in a jar is a really, really great option for either just for yourself to make ahead of time, just like you might do with overnight oats. Just layer a bunch of veggies and protein, and when it comes time for lunch, you dump it out, or dinner. But it's also a great thing to bring to a party, dinner party. Another one would be like a salad niçoise, which is just a bunch of things that you've already pre-done. So like, you cook the potatoes, you cook the green beans, all of that stuff ahead of time, so that when it comes to the day of the event, all you're doing is just arranging things on a plate. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick. And these are my notes, but instead of that, I meant to pull up this. Here we go. And then these are some good options for some summer, maybe yummy recipes. So this one right here is a caprese, like a twist on a caprese skewer. So instead of the cheese, that's tofu. So I thought that was a really fun idea. And you could also do that with avocados as well. So like avocado, basil, tomato, and then a little balsamic drizzle on top.
Yum.
Yes. Veggies and any kind of,
Oh, it's good.
yeah, hummus. You could do this with baba ganoush. My mother-in-law did these little veggie shots for my wedding. What's the one where you the night before, the rehearsal dinner. And ever since then, I've been like, that's such an amazing idea. So she would just make little cups full of individual veggies with a little bit of either dressing or hummus or something in the bottom. And it's very visually pleasing. It was also great during COVID when we would have people out for our front porch, because you're not touching a big tray of veggies. You're just picking up your individual one. Another great idea are summer rolls. This is just that rice paper. And I like to do them with shrimp and just pack them with veggies and maybe do like a little peanut sauce. These are great little appetizers. So cucumber with a little avocado, maybe a guac or a green goddess, and then top those with smoked salmon and dill. And then this is the salad niçoise I was talking about. So colorful, light, fresh ideas for some summer meals. And those are great for entertaining or just every day. None of them are super, over the top or anything. And then for desserts, my favorites are making chocolate covered strawberries. So it's just the Arbonne protein powder. I use chocolate and then add just a little bit of cacao powder. I mix it, make it into a pudding. I melt a little bit of coconut oil, mix it in, and then just dip the strawberries in and stick them in the freezer. Before you're ready to serve, you pull them out maybe 15 minutes before so you don't break a tooth on a frozen protein pudding. But these are really satisfying. And they're also actually very healthy. Like they're actually going to, instead of a regular chocolate dip strawberry, which will spike your blood sugar and then leave you feeling potentially hungry afterwards, this one's actually going to give your body something to use. And then another one for dessert, my daughter loves to make these. So they're just dates. You cut the date open, you put a little peanut butter, almond butter inside, and then you just melt the low sugar chocolate chips and pour them over top and stick them in the freezer. Again, you can break a tooth on these, so make sure you pull them out a little before you want to enjoy them. But these are very satisfying as well. And the date is natural sugar from our earth. And again, it does have some nutritional value from the peanut butter, almond butter in there as well. Other things that I do as far as just like on a normal day, I always have my overnight oats ready to go because a lot of times we're rushing out the door to swim practice and I don't want to go from, waking up early, teaching a class and then running out the door without having food in my belly. So this is a great way if I don't have time to stop and make a shake or make eggs, then I have something ready to go. And then I always have really good options. These are the Trader Joe's salad dressings. So if I just have veggies and protein and some sweet potatoes or whatever carb, maybe rice in my fridge, then I can easily add a flavor to it to make it, when I'm making a bowl or a salad, easily have some way to give it that little extra kick and flavor. Trisha, anything to add to potlucks or just everyday healthy living?
So for potlucks, I always aim to bring something that I want to eat. So that it may not necessarily be a huge crowd pleaser if everyone else there is not into eating healthier, but then I know that I at least have a healthy option. So any of those things that Joan showed, a veggie tray is almost my default go-to, or a fruit tray with whatever the seasonal, berries and melons are. And then I also have a dessert example, using the chocolate protein, are these really yummy brownies. I've been experimenting the last couple of weeks and finally found one that really has the consistency and flavor of just a good old chocolate brownie. And it's literally just made with the protein powder, some agave and maple syrup, almond butter, egg, or you could use a flax egg to make it vegan. And then your baking soda, powder, salt, super simple. And cacao powder just to make it that much richer.
Love it.
So, and they are kid approved. So that's good too. And so this is just a good sweet treat to have around for the family, but it would be also a good potluck addition.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Okay. I thought we would close out with just some other things that you might want to add in either for summer or just regular life. And one of those is, actually really quick, summer often brings a lot of cocktails. So I wanted to just say a note about that as well. So, alcohol is not great for us, but it's fun, right? So every once in a while, and maybe even more than once in a while in the summer, it's going to happen and that's okay. Just moderation, but making sure that you're staying hydrated. So I always try to have bubbly water because for whatever reason, when I have a cocktail, regular water just doesn't satisfy me anymore. I want bubbly water. So that's just something that works for me. But after having like a gin and tonic or a vodka soda or something like that, I will have a full drink of either a glass of water or bubbly water, just to make sure that I'm not getting dehydrated. If you wake up the next morning and you do feel a little dehydrated, the True Sport, so this is actually part of the sports nutrition line, but it's just a complete hydration. So it's electrolytes, and it's a really great alternative for anybody, kids included, who are doing sports or maybe getting overheated or maybe had a few too many cocktails. Great way to just make sure that you're replacing those electrolytes and staying hydrated. We also have a lot of fun new flavors of fizz right now that are really awesome for summer. So there's pineapple, watermelon, my favorite, which is the mango peach, and then also the new one, which is honeydew melon. I think this tastes like a mojito, like a minty. It doesn't necessarily taste like honeydew to me, but maybe honeydew just doesn't have like a very distinct flavor. Anyway, they're all delicious, and I sometimes will mix a fizz with the hydration and just stick it in a big water bottle on a summer day and just make sure that I'm getting, all the vitamins, all the nutrients, and also my electrolytes as well. Okay, and then we wanted to share really quick just about the Fun Sun line. So most of the time when Trish and I are talking about Arbonne, it has to relate to healthy living and nutrition because that's our wheelhouse. But I did want to mention Arbonne also has a sunscreen, which I love, and I did get to test out in Mexico, and it absolutely works. And then also a tinted self tanner. And then for those of us who aren't getting the natural vitamin D right now, Arbonne has a spray. So I, again, hate taking pills. And so for me to do the sublingual spray in the morning is really, really a great option for me instead of taking a handful of pills. Trisha, did you want to share about the ingredients of the sunscreen, and then we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, so I just wanted to share, I love this too. My son has been taking some medication for the last several months that makes him ultra sensitive to the sun. And the dermatologist recommended a mineral sunscreen. And before this came out, I think I bought 5 different ones that claimed to be sheer, and we put it on and he would turn white. And then he's, of course, embarrassed and doesn't want to wear the sunscreen. So this I absolutely love because it is truly a sheer mineral sunscreen. You're getting the broad spectrum protection. And once you put it on and rub it in, you don't even get that typical sunscreen greasy feel. You just I feel like I could sit on my leather seats once I have sunscreen on my legs, and it's not going to leave a mark. So
yeah,
really, really highly recommend it.
Same. We got to try it out in Mexico. And so Dave and I used it every day. And I really was like, I kind of wanted to come back tan, but I feel like it was a really good sunscreen. And there was one day when I went to an event and I had the sunscreen with me and he didn't put it on. He came back bright burnt. So I know it really, really does work. And I get really bothered by the smell and also just like the overpowering feeling of having sunscreen all over. And it really is, like Trisha said, super sheer. You don't feel like you're even really, it feels hydrating, but it doesn't feel like overpowering.
Yeah.
So those are our summer tips. And I just want to thank you for hopping on and listening. And hopefully you've got some good nuggets of information. Trisha, anything else you wanted to share before we close out?
No, just thanks for joining us. And for those who will be watching the recording, if you have any questions, want any additional information, including the salad in a jar recording, just reach out to me or Joan.
And your brownie recipe. And then one more thing.
Yes.
We will also be doing a summer smoothie challenge. No, not sure the exact details yet, but in the summer we will be doing that. And the idea behind that is just adding nutrition to your day. So you're not eliminating and following a program and having to be really strict, but you can have fun and travel and do all the things, but you can also add nutrition by having a really balanced, nutrient dense breakfast in a smoothie or lunch or snack or whatever. And just make sure, like, the challenge is adding instead of detracting. And that's the right word, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's a lot of what we stand for. Is it's not about, again, like you're, eating too much. It's about like, let's just add nutrition rather than deplete or starve, right? Like the goal is to actually fuel our bodies and feel really energized in summer or any season. All right. Thank you guys for hopping on. I'm going to stop the recording.